Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Legion Chalk Talk podcast. This is Scott, your host. Today, on this episode, I'm super excited to have Derek Batman, owner of Hardbat Athletics. He has been in business for 9 years. He's super into breath work and meditation, which is really cool. Groundbreaking stuff. Really will change your world. And on top of that, he just honestly has the coolest last name ever. Welcome to the show, Derek. How you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, Scott. How are you doing?
Uh, I'm doing well. I remember Sean, co-owner, when he first saw your name come across, he made some like totally nerdy comment, and I thought it was hilarious. I mean, it just totally enamored with your last name. So I'm sure you've lived a life of that.
Yeah, it's funny. Our gym name Hardbat is kind of somewhat derivative of my last name, and we have people that will be at our gym signed up for years at a time, and still believing that it's some sort of nickname that's just somehow snuck through uh, Facebook's algorithms. But it's funny. Like people that have been with me for years eventually find out that it's the real deal, and no, I didn't like change it due to the comic book.
Yeah. I think it's a blessing. I think it's just something like, you're you're lucky.
Yeah, the last name lottery, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just did it on my other podcast. I did an interview with a guy with the last name of Stream, and he
Oh
has a
yeah,
3-year-old, and his 3-year-old's name is Jet. He's like, it was the best opportunity ever. So his kid's name is Jetstream, and I'm like,
that's
wow,
fantastic.
dude, that is so great. You got to take
You're
advantage.
gonna be gifted something. That's like being born with with a talent. You only get one shot at it,
Right.
and like you're lucky. You might as well take advantage.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's
Well, man, I'm
beautiful.
super excited. The reason one of the reasons I wanted to spend time with you on this podcast is because you do actually have a superpower, and I think it's more that you've just capitalized on somebody within your gym, but you also have a vision, and that's creating incredible video content. And I want to definitely chat about that. But before we got started, you just told me something, and I was really pumped to hear it because um, it just happens over and over again. So you were telling me this is what you're in day 2 of your second round of global assessments.
Yeah, so we started in the beginning of 2020. I think I hopped on with you guys late in 2019,
Yep.
and we ran our first assessment phase along with the kind of universal one early in the year, and then obviously we're halted by COVID and all of its um,
Glory.
yeah, worry and time off in the gym. So we bypassed or missed our second assessment phase, which would have been in like late spring. So this one, I know I had reached out to you guys, and it was more or less, being thrown around of like, look, like we don't know when all these gyms are going to be able to open, so you should just run it whenever you feel it fits. We did a lot of kind of back to the basics training for our members throughout the summer, and it just kind of fell into our lap that this was going to be the perfect time to run a second assessment phase. We've got a lot of new members, so it worked out well on that front. And for the members that have been with us, they had a chance to get back to the gym, develop consistency. And I mean, you know how it is. You can look across the classes if you're there enough and see, okay, like the floor has moved up.
Yeah.
And we really just started to notice that it was like it was the time to do it. But yeah, so you guys, it was funny in our introduction with you guys and through the process of getting started with Level Method, it was mentioned that the magic really happens in the second and third. And part of me was like, well, this is a sales tactic because the first time it's just rough.
It's rough.
It's rough. It's just so much new information for the coaches, your staff, and the members all at once. But it is really true that the second time through has just been so amazing already. Mind you, we're only on day 2, but just the energy, the help from the members that have been through it already, and the ability of our coaches to just, we've been through this once. We know what to expect. We worked out all of the little kinks and things that we, could have gone better in round 1. We had meetings following the first time. So yeah, I'm super excited for the remainder of the next 2 weeks, man. It's been magical already.
That's really exciting to hear because it does kind of sound like a sales tactic because that first round, like, I get the opportunity to talk to people as they go into it with super excited about it. And then the second time I'm talking about it, you start to notice I'm talking with them and they're asking all these questions. They're like, wow, how is this going to work? And my job is just kind of like calming. Okay, let's answer questions. Let's get down to it. And then by the third time, it's just like this, okay, we're almost ready to assess. And you could just tell there's so much involved, and
Oh,
the learning curve's huge. I mean, it's a lot.
yes, yeah, absolutely. And the first time, we were running into some people were running into time issues with, oh, I didn't have enough for this, I didn't have enough for that. And a lot of that is satisfied this go round because people don't need to go through as many prerequisites.
Right.
And the old members help the new members. And it's just, again, and even just like the way that we're structuring the classes has been a little bit tidier and more taking more cognizant of time. So yeah, this and honestly, the other nice thing too is like we're limited to the number of people we can have in a class right now,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is honestly, I mean, it's kind of the perfect scenario. Like we're considering keeping that number post COVID, just because the coach to athlete ratio has been perfect, which for us is 14.
Yeah. That's
Um,
great.
yeah, and that helps with the assessments a lot too, just so we don't have, you know, 7,000 pounds in weights out at once.
Right.
And it just worked out perfect.
Yeah, logistics of assessment. I mean, if it's a deadlift day, that the logistics alone in the pure amount of plates rolling around and having to be shared and whatever the case may be could be pretty difficult. I think a lot of people have learned through force reduction in class sizes that there is a better way to do it.
Yes. Oh
And
yeah. Yeah. I think this has really forced people to take, to sit back and really take a snapshot of what's happening now and the changes that they can make in the future that, will better their gym. And I think, this has provided a time for people to do something like that they otherwise wouldn't have had the time to do, both as an owner, as a coach, and a gym manager, just to be like, okay, what were we doing that we were forced to change that is now actually shed light on some things that we, should take into consideration. I think this has been a really transformative time for a lot of people in the gym industry.
yeah, I have seen several paths happen. Gyms crumble. I mean, obviously it's very sad,
It
but
is
it
very
really has a lot more to do with the leadership. And I hate to say this, but it just seems really consistent. The leadership's ability to pivot, use the time for positive. Cash flow is one of those things you can't control. So if it wasn't there, then obviously there's reasons, uh, unmitigated. They had to close, but what I've seen coming out the other side is guys like you kind of transform and use this to really sharpen your sword, and you're getting out there and you're coming back like 10 times stronger. And it's really encouraging to see. Like, I know that most of the gyms that have gotten through this are going to really, really thrive. It's kind of like the cream of the crop. And I really appreciate that you took the outcome of, okay, here's the things we learned. And that's probably the difference between the gyms that are thriving right now and the gyms that are hanging by a thread, is they are taking this as an opportunity to learn.
Yeah, I'll take that compliment with a bit of humility, because I will say this much, like, one thing that this whole situation has given me is greater sense of empathy, because purely by the luck or unluck of timing, this could have gone a completely different direction,
Yeah.
even for us. And we're pretty well, established, again, being around for 9 years. We moved into our new facility as of last year. Our rent pretty much doubled. Our overhead pretty much doubled. So I can't even fathom this change occurring, or the downtime occurring in 2019. So
Right.
luck plays an immense role in this, and I'm not, I'm definitely appreciative of that fact. And we just so happened to luck out that this was in 2020, and we made the most of it. But I definitely feel for the gyms that fell on the other side of that spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been heartbreaking, but in I have to talk to people like you to keep because I talk to so many people who have failed, and it's very difficult
Yes.
because, I mean, it's absolutely wrecked their ability to function. I mean, they're like having to get other jobs, and closing a business is very, very difficult and folding like that. So
I can't imagine what they're
yeah,
going through, and I wish them nothing but the best, and hopefully some avenue or back door back into this industry, because I know that they, were fully engulfed in it prior.
yeah. So kind of just want to spin back around on the second round of assessments that you're doing. How are your coaches? How's your coach energy around this? And what do you see different this time around with your coaches working through this and your members?
Um, so we always have meetings prior and after. We do this around any major large events or time
Yeah.
periods, progressions at the gym. Um, I would say there were far less questions from my coaches leading into this one, because all my coaches that were with me for the first are here for the second, and there's no one new. So
Oh,
that
great.
helped tremendously. There was no need to catch anyone up to speed. As far as the logistics, go to the classes, I think that the coaches, felt like they were part of the process more this time, because they had more of a say, in terms of the follow-ups with questions and concerns after the first go round. So they were able to give their input, which means that this has now kind of culminated into like a fully, branded, assessment phase that is in part made up by the people that are going to be running it. So that's been tremendous, and I think that they feel that. I think there's also just a better sense of the needle has moved from nerves and uncertainty amongst the members to excitement and just knowledge of what's going to happen, like an awareness. So there's not as much of a tension in the classes, and it's more of this like open, flowing type of feel. And that helps the coaches so much more, because that's what we facilitate on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
Members are used to coming in, it's high fives, well, right now air high fives, but it's very open ended, and it's not rushed, and it's not like militaristic, and it's, you know what I mean? It's got kind of a flow to it. And this time around feels much more like a regular class and much less like we're putting everyone through SATs.
Yeah, I think that's a really good lesson to learn. I really try and focus new gyms on like I know that you're learning an immense amount of stuff, but the more you can lighten the load and make it more like, let's practice going through an assessment, like a practice SAT, right? Like almost like, don't treat this first round, but there's just almost no way to avoid it, because people see the word assessment or test, or they see levels and they automatically go into that. Honestly, a lot of people go into fight or flight. They either go all out and they overperform, or they don't come. you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
this second round gives you, okay, I can breathe and have fun with this.
Yeah, I think what really helped with this too is the second time going through, our first day happened to be deadlifts and running. And what was really nice about that is we haven't been able to take many bars out of rack. So I know that a number of people were a little worried about squatting numbers. Now, being a coach and knowing what we've done in terms of programming and progressions, I'm less worried than they are. But I knew that we did two things a lot this summer. We ran and we deadlifted
Oh
because
yeah.
both things that we could do distanced and safely and to ourselves. So I knew that day one was going to be, the fuse that we needed to kind of send this rocket off in the right direction. And we had almost everyone that came in that was there for their second assessment phase PR'd one, if not both of those assessments.
That's
And I think
incredible.
that
Yeah.
was that's the feeling in the air that we really needed going into the next 2 weeks, because the reality is you're not going to PR everything. We had 2 months plus off. There are certain things that we have been unable to do throughout the summer. So
Mm-hmm.
inevitably people are going to match it or even be slightly below their first assessment phase on a few things. But day one was just so awesome to be a part of.
I think two things I want to bring out from that. One, by building in the assessment in an order where you ensured success up front. It's kind of like when you get a new sales guy into on a sales team, you have to give them a lead that's going to close like immediately. Like you got to get somebody a win really fast, right? And so it's almost the same thing. You're like, okay, where are they going to get wins? And I think that was a really great segue into a testing cycle to start with enthusiasm and excitement. And that helps deal with maybe a little frustration or setback in other tests, but you've started on a high. What do you, would you have changed the order you did the first time around?
I think we did.
Okay. Yeah.
We made a few adjustments. We transitioned from a 3 week to a 2 week.
Yeah. Right.
This time around. We did that for a few reasons. One, I think that it's kind of like a t-shirt order. If you tell everyone they have a month to order shirts,
They're going to wait
take
till
a
last.
little time. If you tell people they have a week, they're gonna make sure they get it done. This is somewhat similar. So it incentivizes people to make sure that they get their butt to the gym. And then what we also realized was the third week last time, we would have the majority of the classes finished everything, and then like a few stragglers that just needed to catch up on some stuff. So what we're going to do is we are doing 2 weeks. Saturdays are usually we do one and then a workout, and then there's also a coach available on Saturdays there for a 2 or 3 hour partitioned amount of time for makeups. So they're there to kind of help coordinate. Hey, you two pair up, go over here, and so on. And then our third week, I'm going to pay one of my coaches to be there for 2 hours, 3 days of the week, specifically for makeups.
That's
so that
great.
way the classes can run as normal. They don't feel like they're being dragged through a third week of unnecessary assessments that they've already done. They're kind of right back into the groove of normal classes, but people that need to come in and make up have someone there to help facilitate that.
Yeah, I think there's been multiple gyms that have done that, and it's worked really well. It's just a matter of resources. Do you have the coaches, and do you have the money to pay the coaches? I think it's well worth it because it really relieves some of the pressure on those folks. And I love the t-shirt order analogy because it's so true. You give people too long, they put it off or they just don't do it.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it's very interesting to talk to all the different gyms and the different ways that they do this. Some folks carry it out over 4 weeks. Some folks carry it out over 2 weeks, and some just keep ongoing assessments going scattered through, their calendar for the entire year. And I don't know that there's a wrong way.
No,
It has a lot to do with your culture.
Yeah, spacing, equipment, coaching, how large your membership is, how large your classes are. There's probably so many factors that go into this. I think it's important that gyms use their unique kind of, you know, the unique flow and style of the gym to dictate how they run these assessments. I don't think there is a perfect way.
Right. So let's get into what I really, really am excited to talk about, because it's something you do with excellence. You and a team, I'm imagining, is creating video content. And the last podcast that just aired this week with Jeff Giossi, we were talking about different ways of communication. And his message was, we have all these different styles of learning. And it's so important that we deliver all the things that we want to deliver for people to consume in different methodologies. And one of those is video. Some people really thrive on watching video, the YouTube generation or whatever. And you have produced some videos that when I watch, I'm like, holy crap, everybody needs like this video for their gym.
Right.
So tell me about, how that all got started, how long you've been doing that, and kind of just give us a background and give everybody, all the listeners, an idea of what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So, I mean, video content has taken off immensely in the last, we'll say 5 to 7 years. So I think that's for a number of reasons. Like one, it's expensive, and the price has come down quite a bit. And maybe this is because, of the emergence of things like drones, cheaper video equipment, cheaper editing tools and things, resources available for people that, may not have a degree in video editing, or cinema. So I think that that has gotten significantly better. And I think that also the marketability of videos has just really stamped its footprint in marketing, and how well the messages can be given to the public, on things like Facebook and Instagram, and just how popular those things have become. The other thing I think it does is, for someone like myself, like I am by far, I'm like the disorganized creative. Like my brain just works in the way that I constantly fall to the creative side. I am not the OCD owner that's like, changing up the way that the med balls look and like making sure all the kettlebells are organized and fitting the
Right.
same. I hire people that are amazing with those tasks and are typically more suited for that type of stuff. But for me, like I always just have my mind's always running and thinking of ways that we can spread our message out to our local and extended communities in a way that really demonstrates what it is that we do well and the transformations that can take place within our membership base. And this is the perfect kind of expression of that. So
Yeah.
video content really allows us to dive deep into some of the those ins and outs of what happens inside of our facility. And it's also an amazing opportunity to get our members involved in something special and that makes them feel really happy, and feel like they're part of something, bigger than just showing up to a gym every day.
Yeah. So what kind of different content have you done, and how have you used your members? Because I think that is a super powerful opportunity when you can, I mean, because that will help the spread of that content going around. Someone's proud of being in it. And how do you incorporate more than a couple people? Like what's your process?
Well, the first thing I feel like I have to say here is you have to find first and foremost, like this is the whole who you know situation. Like I happen to know someone that I knew from high school that just took on videography as like a hobby and started producing amazing videos. And I kind of went on a limb and reached out and was like, hey, like we really need to get together. I have some, amazing ideas for this. So you got to find the right person. Like for me, I found Josh Pellegrini or Travel Pell on Instagram if anyone wants to check out his stuff. But like I could tell that he was just super passionate about capturing this sort of thing. So this didn't feel like a commercialized product for me. Like I didn't have some team of people come in that I didn't know and just start, shooting things that I didn't agree on, or we didn't talk ahead of time. Like this was very well thought out, and there was passion coming from the editing side as well as from my side. So that synergy is important. I
It
wanted
is.
to note that first. So in terms of like including the members, I mean, the process changes every single time. Uh, for me, a lot of the times I either get the message or started through either hearing my coaches talk about something that happened in their class, or paying attention to a class myself, or having a one-on-one meeting with a member, whether it be for nutrition or a level method assessment, follow-up, or maybe someone comes to me and just shares kind of a success story that's inspiring. There's always the thing that I always remind people is that there's magic happening like inside of your gym all the time,
Yeah.
and you don't need to fabricate things because fabricated messages feel fabricated. And you have enough amazing stuff going on already inside of your walls. All you got to do is pay attention. So that's really where we get most of the messages from. Is we try to kind of capture the magic of what's already happening inside of the gym, and there's plenty of it to go around. So just even if it means as an owner, you come into the gym on a day, like for me, I don't coach Saturdays. And but I still come into the gym. I mean, in large part because I want to work out, and also because I just love being there. The energy is very high. It's the most busy the gym is throughout the week for the most part. No one has to go back to work. Most people are leaving and going to lunch or doing something with each other when they're done. So it's just this like super positive, optimistic energy. But it gives me a time to be the fly on the wall and really just pay attention to that. And you can see stories kind of unfolding all over the room that you can capture and utilize in video format to show people, this is what we do here. This is the energy that is in the room, and the smiles on people's faces are genuine, and it's not something forced. And you say to yourself, okay, like how can I utilize video in a way that doesn't make this acted out or seem commercialized, but can be expressed to the public in a way that's like, everything that's going on in here is real. We don't need to make videos that make us look like Orange Theory or Soul Cycle. We are something that's unique, and that's really what you're trying to get your message out there. You're not pushing your message to 20 million people. You're pushing it to a couple thousand.
Yeah.
So that helps tremendously.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think a lot of people really focus in on like, well, I got to script this out. I got to tell people what to say. I did this project for my wife with video, and I didn't know how to approach it whatsoever. And this is kind of a little bit of a promo for another podcast coming up really soon with
Cool.
my editor, who's Morgan Hinton. Morgan, I was introduced through another gentleman in the Legion, Josh Price. And Morgan does video editing for, Two Brain and a lot of different, actually a lot of different organizations. But I just hopped on the phone with him. I'm like, okay, what do I do? He's just like, just let her talk. Like, just let her talk. And he told me the angles to shoot. He told me what kind of things to use, how to set up, layman lighting. And then he sent me samples of other videos and said, okay, what do you want it to look like? And so the process isn't horrible. In fact, it was like, oh, I like the way that one looks. So then he's like, okay, just get a bunch of video clips, at least X amount long, throw them in, catch her talking. And then I sent this thing to him, and within a day I had this beautiful video, and I just said a few updates, and it was like the story was told and it looked extremely professional. And here's the secret. I shot it on an iPhone X. I mean, it was
Right.
like, it wasn't even the newest iPhone. I shot it, and
Yeah.
I had one light in the background, and it was in our gym, and it turned out phenomenal.
Yep.
Editing has a big role to play in that, and then
Oh, for
capturing
sure.
honest, real life stuff, not
Yes.
canned
Yeah.
stuff. So that
Yeah.
really kind of speaks to what you did. So my whole message there was, one, if you're listening to this and you're like, I got to get into this, I'm going to have that resource for you. Also, I mean, connecting with Jeff's resource, there's tons of resources out there, and they're very affordable. I mean, Morgan is extremely affordable. Kind of hate to throw him under the bus, but he's very affordable. He's very fair, and it takes something that used to be completely out of reach and makes it within reach for a normal gym owner. So it sounds like you kind of found your resource, and that's helped you a lot. I also love just that you mentioned, I want to recap that you utilize, just you capture the magic that's already happening. There's no need to recreate anything.
No, and what's funny is I don't care how good of an editor you find, your members are not actors, and they're not supposed to be.
Right.
So they're by nature bad actors, and that's okay. So don't make them act. What the goal of this is, again, to use the editing tools necessary to just capture what's already going on there. And raw emotion is really where that comes in. Like you were saying, the video you shot, like it was just, her talking to the camera or near the camera probably about things that she said already or thoughts that she's already
Oh
had
yeah.
and formulated. And that, again, that's raw emotion. You're getting it straight from the source. It's genuine. And that's really what we're trying to do. So like we create frameworks for our videos, but there's not really a script. We don't write scripts, like in the video you saw us do last, which was, I believe, the level method video we did with the woman Christina at my gym. I sat her down with a microphone. So we filmed everything, which was like her warming up, her coming in and signing in, her taking class, like we were like, just do your normal day, right? So we captured a bunch of different content. And then I sat her down and did like a mini podcast where I just asked her questions and she answered them. And then we just used her audio
That's
to
awesome.
put over the video. And it wasn't like we, told her, hey, say this, hey, say that. I mean, outside of telling her to say her name, like she essentially wrote that whole thing on the spot.
Well, and I think that
Um,
comes through. I do want to throw you a massive kudo on your videos. Like there's an emotional connection that occurs because of the authenticity. Like, you get the like, holy crap, I want to go to that gym, or I want to be involved in what they have, or if she can do it, I can do it. And that's what really drew me in, is like just absolute authenticity, not to mention the way it was thrown together. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and the neat thing with this too is that if you use the members, right, that are your ideal members, they will attract more ideal members. So again, like I had mentioned, you're not
Right.
Orange Theory, you're not, you're not Soul Cycle or one of these larger corporations. You don't need 60 new people walking through your doors that think this is going to run like an Orange Theory. What you need are 15 people signing up over the next month or two that are going to end up staying there as long as the member that was in the video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people that we shoot videos with, I joke around all the time that we might as well create a lifetime membership because they're not going anywhere. Like
Right.
unless their work moves them across the country, in which case they would still be on all of our internal Facebook groups, chatting it up every day. They're not going anywhere, and using them, you're naturally capturing what you want inside of the gym. Um, and again, even if that only brings you 5 people next month, if those 5 people stick around for the next 5 to 10 years, well, guess what? Like your video paid for itself tenfold.
Yeah. 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 I think that is a great key is make sure you have your avatar, your seed client, whatever you want to call it, that person. I'm like, if you have mostly want females, make it a female. If you want male and female, do 2 different videos, right? But like pick the ideal client because that's who it's going to bring in. If you want someone who is very new to fitness, pick somebody who's been through that process. I love it. So how many videos have you done? Do you even know?
I believe so. We're actually in the process of just getting started with our 5th video. Now we had some short ones done. So the way this came about was when Josh started working with us, it was all photo based. He would come in, let's say once every 2 months, and would shoot photos of the facility and of members in classes. And this way, I had content to utilize for our Instagram and Facebook. And then one of the times he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna shoot like a little short video of what we did was we did this like cool kind of split of we had an adult and a kid that funny enough look somewhat alike, even though they're not related. But they were climbing rope, and we did this like cool transition of like the kid to the adult to the adult to the kid, showing like we stay fit forever type of deal, right? That was
Very
the
cool.
message more or less. And it was literally less than 15 seconds. But the video was just super well shot. Our logo was in the background, like people climbing a rope in slow motion. It was super cool. So I was sold, and I was like, okay, we really need to get together and do a video project. I think we, from the very beginning, just started harnessing one member at a time. We didn't really do any videos that were, well, I think we've done one video out of the 5 that wasn't based on one person, where it was like, this is the group, showing kind of like, the zoomed out perspective, if you will, as far as the classes and structure and logistics go. But outside of that, everything has been very personalized. And we've just been picking people based on target audience and also just mixing it up. I don't really like get too caught up in like, oh, let's find a middle-aged man, let's find a younger female. Like we pretty much go with whatever. Again, whenever I capture something or see it and I'm like, okay, I want that in the form of a video, we just run it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really good. I think one message people need to hear is you don't need to be the next producer director of a movie. This is literally just capturing the culture and the kind of the insider view of what goes on every single day, because there's magic that happens in every single class. I mean, there's just always
Yeah,
yeah, there's those feels, and that's what makes your gym special. That's what makes every single one of our gyms special.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine that if all of the gyms in my surrounding area were to do videos, they would have a different feel, and for good reason. Like stylistically, we all run differently. We have different energy and vibes inside of our facilities, and that's a good thing. The longer you're in this game, you start to realize like you are not for everyone,
Right.
and there are better gyms out there for people, and that's okay. But there are more than enough people in your area that will see your videos um, and make them want to come in.
Do you do paid advertising with them? Do you put money
Oh,
behind them? Yeah.
yeah, we do. I mean, for me, it's yeah, they're super cool for the members, but it would be somewhat of a waste of money to have.
Absolutely.
to have this, to have Josh come in, shoot all this stuff, me go through the process of having members come in. I mean, it's time consuming. So yeah, they're probably our number, not probably, they are our number one form of social media marketing.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's
and
powerful.
they have beyond paid off, because the thing that people forget about videos is while you do get better at them, like you do with anything else, you have them forever. So as long as your message and the shots you're capturing and the purpose of the video is universally applied to your facility, you can use them whenever you want them. So we can rotate our videos in and out throughout different seasons. So for instance, I know some of our videos vibe more with summer. The bay doors are open, the sunlight's in, we got a drone coming in, it's capturing kind of like, the spring, like foliage and leaves and everything outside. So they like some videos just fit better with different seasons. So we'll probably reutilize a lot of the video content that we've created thus far.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really important point, and something that we focus in a lot is like making things evergreen. We can use this over and over in different seasons. It's not going to be, only speak to what's going on now and only now.
Right.
So the money investment can continue to move forward for a long period of time, and your ROI on that specific piece of content is ongoing. I mean, you did it once, and now you have all this return on investment coming in. And you said something about drones, and I think there's several things that we have to demystify, or we have to make a point of. Is you can go and search out like a professional videographer or or try and find one within your gym, and not every gym has one. But every gym has probably a drone enthusiast who would love to just be the cool guy shooting drone video for a day.
No
And
doubt.
yeah, and so it's not, or maybe you just don't have one. Well, don't use drone video. It's no one's going to say, "Oh crap, I'm not going to that gym. They didn't get it a sky view. They didn't fly into the bay doors." But you've got talent inside your walls. You've got 100 people, 70 people, 200 people, whatever it is, and there's enthusiasts in there. And then also learning to video with a phone or a GoPro camera or whatever the case is not rocket science. There's a few tips and tricks, and that's why I bring up Morgan again, is because he's willing to teach. He actually has like content that he sent me. Here's how to do it. Like his job is teaching people. Actually, he's a he's a drone instructor for college, but but there's so many talented people within the walls that you probably can find somebody there that can do something, even if it's kind of crappy drone footage. It doesn't matter. Like someone just wants to come play with their drone.
Like anything else, you just got to get started. Like,
Yeah.
Go from being in motion to being in action. And you'll learn and pick up skills and understand things better as you go along, and also utilize your resources effectively. Just completely remove the ego. Like for instance, if you're not the creative, don't try to be the creative.
Right.
So like that happens to be my role, but there's a lot of things that I suck at in this process that I rely on people around me for. For instance, if it was up to me, I would leave the facility as is. You'd come in and shoot this video, but I got a GM that's like, no, wipe that down. This needs to be here. These aren't symmetrical. Like, and that helps me tremendously, because there are things that don't catch my eye, right? Because my brain is running on a different wavelength, and that's why using the people and the resources you have for the purposes that they're and the gifts that they have can really benefit you, because they're going to see things that you don't. So I would say look at it, purely objectively, and say, like, where can I use my team to my advantage in this process? And you might be surprised at some of the skills that people are able to put forth as part of that, the filmmaking process.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, is putting the right people in the right driver's seats. It's almost like when someone brings to me that, they can't get their coach to clean. I'm like, well, they got the job to coach. Maybe there's somebody who likes to clean, but you can't put the wrong people in the wrong seats. And,
Right.
And that it just takes a little more creativity and kind of seeing outside of our own tunnel view and how we want everything to fit.
Right.
So we have some of our listeners may or may not know that we put out a Level Method video contest pre-COVID, and we had a good amount of cash on the line to win. And we have I think you created a video to submit, and the good news is we have not forgot, and we have new launch dates. So very soon, keep an ear out. In fact, on the next webinar, if we might have it before this is released, we're going to talk about that. So I wanted to give you, I know you did work on it. So I just wanted to tell you, hey, we're doing that. And I wanted to promote to everyone else that it's a possibility. Anybody with the right kind of mindset. I mean, you just basically gave everybody your secrets. So
hey,
thanks for that.
I'm more than happy to share. And if anyone wants to reach out to talk further, I'm more than happy to jam on this.
Yeah. It's an awesome asset, and I think it's underused. And I think it's so incredibly important that as gym owners, we not only present information in the way that we would like to see it, but we present it in all the ways so that we reach everybody. So, just to kind of wrap up, tell me why you brought in Level Method in the first place, and just kind of give me a little roundup of what it's meant for you guys in your gym, if you will.
For sure. So real quick, the last thing I'll say about the video, and then
Please.
Level Method stuff, is I want to remind everyone that's listening to this right now that may be on the front end of this and just getting started, that 3 years ago, I would have never imagined we would have had this quality of content out. So this is something that you get started, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, we've actually become pretty good at this. So 3 years ago, we were the gym that was like envying video content online.
Right.
Like,
right.
How the hell did someone create this? This is amazing. How do we do this? Why can't we do this? And then all of a sudden, here we are, and I would consider us, to be quite honest, like one of the better gyms at video content on the East Coast. And I think anyone can kind of take those reins and run with it. It's just a matter of getting started and believing that, that there's better video content in your future. As far as Level Method goes, so I was already in the process of essentially creating what is Level Method to some degree or another.
Right.
So I had a bazillion spreadsheets open. I'm a programmer at heart, and I love data and feedback, especially objective data and feedback. And we were running into some ruts with progression in the gym, because any gym owner, especially one that runs something CrossFit methodology based, can appreciate the fact that people's intuitions make them want to advance quicker than their physical limitations will allow. And I think, I don't care how egoic or humble or self-aware someone is, we all deal with this. Like, I've been training and lifting now for, 2 decades, and I still go through phases of this. So I was trying to come up with a system that would alleviate two pains. One was going to be the new members feeling like they had a place, feeling like they knew where they were, and they weren't just on this like merry-go-round where everyone else is enjoying it and they're like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
Right. And because we've all experienced that, right?
Yeah, we have.
not understand anything for months on end. And then the back or the other side of that, I also wanted the members that have been with me for a while to see progress in real time, and to have strategy and objective feedback and a know-how for the way in which they were going to advance that would allow them to get better, but without putting them in a position where they could either injure themselves or set their hopes for something that's unrealistic. The person that can't do a strict pull-up but wants to bring muscle up. So this really just allowed us to kind of take our membership and give everyone a purpose. And that's been the big benefit.
So has it met your expectations as far as giving everybody a purpose and a place?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think as we continue to work the inner workings of the system, throughout time, we will make this unique to our gym, and it will continue to kind of, you know, it will continue to find, we'll continue to find ways in which we can improve upon it and make it better and work more synergistically with the vibes and energies that already take place inside of the gym. So yeah, we've been absolutely happy with it. We keep tinkering with it and making small changes. And I'm sure that you guys on your end are doing the same thing based on feedback that you're getting from gyms. So yeah, we've been really happy with it so far. I mean, I don't see us going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate your insight and, helping other gyms see the vision of creating incredible content. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for listening to this episode. You do yourself a favor and subscribe so that you get the follow-up. If you have, you need to hear the rest that what's coming and so that you can put this into action, and also catch up on all the other episodes we've already recorded. There is ridiculous amounts of gold nuggets in there for you. This episode was brought to you by the one and only Level Method. So if you're not on the Level Method bus, get on it, levelmethod.com. Reach out to me, scott@levelmethod.com. I will help you understand what it is we have to offer. And a big shout out to the Legion for just being incredible people. And thank you for being listeners. Have a great day.